Power of the Primes Wave 2 is upon us, and that means we finally have a complete set of modern Dinobots without having to go to super expensive third-party stuff. And hey, it's a combiner too, so we're hitting all the third-party checks on this one. So we're going to take a look at the new Dinobots in Wave 2, starting with Sludge, the long-suffering member of the Dinobots. Yep. Seems like every time they try to do Dinobots again, he's the odd man out. The G2, nope, his mold didn't get used. Animated, no, they didn't want a Brontosaurus. And, well, yeah, even though they try every now and then, they end up changing his name like they did in the movie. Nope, proper Dinobot Sludge, Brontosaurus, whether it exists or not. People have told me mixed things. I don't care anymore. I still like that it's here. So yes, we have another Dinobot cast in the same shade of this metallic gray plastic that is so nice and so G1 Dinobot. Absolutely love it. So we have bits of red plastic poking through as well as some black here and there, but most importantly, we have plenty of translucent elements going on, most notably in the head, where, yes, they're doing the Dinobot trick again, where it's the inside that is actually painted, so you have a layered effect, just like the original Dinobots did, except instead of chrome with clear plastic on top, the paint kind of shortcuts it, but creates the same layered look, which is exceptionally nice when they do it correctly. So let's talk dem legs. Unfortunately, while they did paint the gold on the inside here in the center hub, they also opted to paint the inside silver throughout the rest of the leg. And while I can understand that's probably easier than just leaving this section unpainted and painting everything else, it also is a completely inaccurate look and kind of throws off the effect. It kind of makes the gold in the middle kind of pointless because it's no longer having the layered look that it's supposed to be going for. Instead, Sludge kind of looks like he has ghost legs and a ghost tail as well. They did it on the tail too. I don't understand this. It's not accurate. It ruins the aesthetic. No, it's just it's an oddity. I'm not sure why they did that. Everything else looks fairly nice. You can tell that some parts of him are reused from Slug. Right, we got one Dinobot who can't have his original name. Sorry, Europe. However, the reuse is pretty minor. He uses some of the engineering too, and we'll get to that, but you can tell not a whole lot of part reusage. By the way, I could have sworn that was a sticker detail because of how complex it is and how much it stood out. Nope, tampograph. I am completely surprised by that. Beyond that, you can see some black paint along the sides and then down here in the legs, and that's about your color spectrum on the toy, Autobot sigil. And I will point out details that impress me, no matter how small they are. See, he has some nice rounded teeth, and just for a split second I thought, that might be a safety thing. But no, herbivore, plant eater, nice attention to detail. You know, that would have been real easy to just make him with pointed teeth to look mean. So, what else can we do? Well, we have this Prime Master armor thing, which doesn't really go on very well. He's got these holes on the sides that can peg stuff in, but there's not a whole lot of places for one of these things to go. It's better suited to his actual weapon that can mount. I don't believe this is something the original Dinobots can do, but you can do it now, so he has a little bit more playability. You also mount it there on the side of the leg if you prefer that spot. Articulation-wise, there's not a whole lot. It's kind of faux ratcheted, kind of detented towards certain positions. This isn't bad, but you don't get a whole lot of range out of it. So yeah, that's your playability. Oh yeah, 2 pegs on top, just in case you want a Prime Master riding Mighty on the top. Which, you know, why not? If you could ride a Brontosaurus, you absolutely would. So, let's get this guy to robot mode, and we'll see what else he has in store for us. First off, I'm going to get the scary part out of the way, which is rotating this head 180 degrees. Aside from looking like he's been in a terrible cliff diving accident, this is also an extremely tight joint. Now you might worry because A, maybe it's translucent plastic, B, maybe it's gold plastic. To my knowledge, it's actually red, at least all the little bits inside I can see here that aren't painted completely seem to be the red plastic, so I'm not terribly concerned, but it is a really, really tight socket. So after that, we're going to reveal his head and then flip down the panel. Has to flip up when transforming it back, by the way. The arms are going to get straightened out so we can do something with the kibble here. First, I'm going to take the tail and start splitting. We're going to start splitting all these pegs apart from each other. Starting there with the tail, and then getting down to the main body and the legs. There we go. There's a lot of little hinges there to make sure the tail goes in the directions it needs to go at the right time, so be mindful. Now they're going to go inside just like they do here on Slug. Unfortunately, they don't quite have the same shape. They're actually a little bit longer than Slug's tail, so don't put him in all the way, or else he's not going to stand flush, which is an unfortunate little side effect. As far as the Bronto legs, I'm going to leave them like that for now. Seems to keep them out of the way. Yeah, and they don't have any little transformation element. They're pretty solid. Okay, so rotate that around. I'm going to open up the back piece. I am happy they didn't chrome this, by the way. The whole thing was chrome on the original Dinobot. A little bit reserved by not painting that. Go ahead and flip the wrists and the hands out. Rotate arm around. And we'll do it again on the other side, because you have to. And with that, fold the head down there, and that is going to give us our Dinobot Sludge in his completed robot mode. Very effective transformation. I actually kind of have fun with this. You know, he's got a big set of wings from shell, but he's got a fun little transform. So yeah, no real harm there. We're going to talk a bit of the Brontosaurus in the room here in a minute, but first, as we traditionally do, we start at the head, and the head is about what you would expect. It is very Sludge-like. If there is a thing that can be Sludge-like, it is this. So yeah, yellow painted eyes, silver face, and then the crest, which goes back toward the back end of his helmet, all done up in silver. Very nicely done. Sludge is traditionally the dumbest, the stupidest of the Dinobots, so he's a little bit dopey. He's not the thinker of the bunch. Now, here's my issue with him, is that I always imagined him as the brute. You know, he always seemed like the dumbest, but he's also like the biggest and the bulkiest, and he's definitely lost some weight since G1. I think this is for two reasons. Number one, because the smaller size, they had to kind of make his dino legs a little bit smaller, so his body seemed bigger and the proportions seemed better. But that does make him look a little bit scrawny here in robot mode. And the other is because the smaller limbs mean not as much to get in the way in the combiner mode. Because if you had the Power Core Combiner Dinobots, you know the legs are really annoying and get in the way a lot on a combiner. So there's a couple different reasons for it. It's whatever. He just looks scrawnier than I would like. Everything else, though, seems pretty well done. He's got more black in this mode, definitely has more red. Though I will admit, a little bit sparse on detailing. He's got a little bit of paint down here, but, you know, aside from the big black area around his chest, a lot of just unpainted area. Like, of course, like Dinobot torsos were traditionally red, so this is, you know, not too far out, but it would have been nice to have done him up a little bit, give him a little bit of a modern deco, you know, reveal, and kind of show off some of that sculpted detailing that's kind of getting washed out a little bit here, which is a bit of a downfall, I guess. In general, a lot of his deco is taken from the actual beast mode, gold here on the feet, and then those tampographies again. So not a whole lot new going on here outside of that big red torso and, yes, of course, the appropriate head. So, yeah, for the most part, he's got everything going on that he needs to have going on. Articulation rundown. Our head does rotate left and right just fine. Ball joints in the shoulders, a lot of range here. These are very nicely cut, lots of room in every direction. 360 degrees there at the bicep, 90 degree at the elbow. It's a little bit detented, so he does hold poses fairly well. Nothing at the wrist, but we do get a waist swivel. as well as ball joints here at the hips, which have a good range of motion, a little bit restricted, but nothing terrible. He's a Dinobot. I don't expect Power Ranger moves out of him. Almost 90 degree at the knee. And then he has that lovely little heel thing. I will say, I didn't go through the transformation step to get it out, but he also does have the thing that Slug had, which is a little bit of an added heel there to just fill out that gap and make sure he doesn't have any kind of issue with balance, since he has this big hollow side on the inside of his leg. Thankfully, because of that longer tail, he doesn't have as much issue as Slug in that department, so it's not really as necessary. Still, it's one of those details I really liked on Slug, so I'm glad they left it in, and I hope they keep it in mind for future toys that might have that hollow leg, I can't stand up because I have nothing on the inside to balance me problem. So this is a combiner, of course, so he's got a couple of additional modes. Here we have the arm mode, which has a couple extra little things to help hold the legs together, which did seem a little bit weak of a connection point for me. I do like how the Brontosaurus head can go all the way from one side of the body to the other, and then has a little place where it kind of wants to peg in, or at least an indication of where it's supposed to go. So yeah, I find some favor with this. It's nice and solid. Yay. And then there's leg mode, which is basically fold the Brontosaurus into the tightest block you possibly can. Again, I'm having some trouble holding the sides together. Nothing really seems to want to peg too solidly, but, you know, it holds well enough, and I think, yeah, it'll hold some weight, so that part I'm not too concerned about, though he does have some scrawny-looking ankles in this form. Thrilling. And to wrap up, we are going to go ahead and give him his armaments. His gun, which is a bit of a hand cannon, which is cool. I think that's a fairly appropriate weapon for him. Works for me, at least. And then, of course, we have the Prime Master armor. This, simple enough, pegs straight into his chest, clamps down like so. And now he looks like, he just has the... Between this and the really thin arms, it just looks like Slug has let himself go. And, you know, if you've been overlooked as many times as he has when it comes to new Dinobots, then you can kind of tell where, like, I really don't want to go to the gym right now. You know, it's just, no, it's unfortunate. But just like that, his little prime port, or master port, whatever you want to call it, has a little cover that makes a tiny little gun, but it's translucent plastic, so you can't really see the fact that there are 3 barrels sculpted in, and it just kind of looks like a memo pad or a data pad or something. It looks like he's checking his tablet. I don't know. But that is everything he can do, so that is our brand new Dinobot Sludge. It's been a long time coming for the old Brontosaurus. I'm happy to see him again. I do wish he was a little bit bigger. I wish he was a little bit bulkier in the right spots. Given his combiner nature, I guess I can understand. It's still unfortunate because this is genuinely our first Slug, you know, since the original G1, outside of like repaints of the movie molds. You know, it does a lot. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like it comes up short in just a few areas. But if you can overlook that, there's a lot about him that works really, really well.